Good afternoon. It is Jen Norland. I wanted to hop on here and talk about something that I think that is um, really easy for us to suppress and push away, and that is our emotions, especially strong emotions. And I think that in general, a lot of us have learned that our emotions are not okay to experience. And so we learn to suppress them. We learn to push them away, stuff them down, whatever our method of coping when we were feeling strong emotions was. And I think that's something that the more I lean into knowing who I am, like the core, my soul of who I am, the more I understand that, like, we're emotional beings. We are emotional beings. And one of the things that I have learned from my human design is I have an open emotional solar plexus. And so I experience emotions in a way that is variable depending on who I'm around. So I literally experience other people's emotions and I amplify them back out to the world. So I always thought I was a really emotional person. There were people in my life who thought I was the drama. I was the one who brought the drama, and actually even at times told me that. And what I realize now is that, yes, I experience these emotions, and just as we all do, because we can't not experience emotion, no matter how your what your human design chart tells you, we all experience emotions, and it is how we experience those emotions in the world that that can give us some really good insight into where it is that those emotions are trying to guide us. And that's really what I want to talk about today is our emotions. We label them as good or bad. We label them, especially, and I think this is something that we learn, is when our emotions make other people uncomfortable, they tend to label them as bad, as unnecessary, as drama, as, whatever. And a lot of times that is what is projected onto us when we're feeling these emotions. So often we learn to shove them aside, push them down. Sometimes we learn to project them onto others. And so a lot of this is just a kind of a baseline discomfort of not understanding emotions. And I think that that's something that has really come to light, I don't know, for me in the past decade. Like, emotional intelligence is a real thing. It's understanding what it is our emotions are trying to tell us. One of the things that I have discovered is it's really important for us to feel those emotions. And it's really important for us to learn to distinguish what those are. Our emotions are a guidance system to tell us when we're out of alignment. If we're feeling angry, or if we're feeling depressed, or if we're feeling some other emotion that we label in our society as negative, that means that we're off of our true north. We're off of our alignment. And so emotions can be a really, really, really strong tool for us to learn how to navigate through our circumstances, our relationships, our thoughts, our beliefs, like all of these things that create our world. And I think that for so long, we've learned to shove these aside, to push them aside. And often when we do that, they can come out in other ways. Like, we know that uh, big emotions suppressed can come out as disease, as, sometimes it comes out as an explosion toward somebody or in a situation, or, on the road, like road rage. That's a perfect example of where it's easy for somebody to let loose on those emotions that they've been suppressing. And so I think again, it's really important to redefine what our emotions are. Our emotions are neither good nor bad unless we hurt somebody with them. And that's, that's a different thing when we're using our own emotional turmoil to hurt others, or to, be unaware of how we are impacting others. And that's part of this work, and part of the work that I love to do is to look at those shadow sides of, those pieces that I've suppressed of who I am, because in certain situations or around certain people, expressing strong emotion ended up not being a good thing for me. And it became a coping mechanism for me to just shove aside my emotions, or to shove them aside, and then to the point where they would come out in some kind of, like I said, some kind of an explosion, or in a charged situation. And this when we learn to regulate based on the emotions that we're feeling, it's a really powerful way to guide your life. And so when we can understand our emotions, we can understand how we experience them. I understand better now how I experience certain emotions, especially when I'm around certain people. And I know now that I have the choice of how I step into that. I always had the choice. I just didn't know that I had it. And so now, knowing how I experience emotions, how I experience that energy in this world, which again came for me through human design, through understanding my human design, I'm able to step in by making a conscious decision, making a choice in, in what I am going to do when I start to feel those energies come up. I know now, like, I don't have to always engage. I don't always have to engage when I feel these strong emotions come up that sometimes to me feel like they come out of nowhere. And I'll start feeling this emotion well up. I never used to understand that. Now I understand it. And I understand that as I start to feel those emotions that those are not native to me, I know that those are emotions that I am taking on from somebody else and amplifying them back out. And I get to choose. I get to make that choice of, okay, I feel this. I know this is happening, and I'm going to use what I know to step forward in either into this, or to know that I don't have to choose to engage. And that has been something that's been very, very empowering for me in a lot of my relationships, because that was one of the ways I showed up in my relationships, was with this emotional charge. And again, I didn't understand why it was with certain people and not with most other people. Now I understand. And so I just want to encourage you, like, our emotions are really important to our guidance, our internal guidance system. And the more you can uncover those things about yourself, for me, it was understanding where those emotions were coming from. And that's not to say that I don't experience my own emotions. I certainly do. However, when I feel those emotions on a level that feels very unnatural to me, I can recognize it right like that, and know that I get to step in and choose how I move forward in any given situation. Do I always do that? No, because I'm still undoing a lot of the years and years and decades worth of conditioning that I have had around emotions. I don't think I'm alone in that. And so I would just encourage you, as you start to learn more about who you are. Like, I don't have to just accept anymore what the world told me about emotions, about my emotions, about how I was experiencing my emotions. And that isn't, for me, that is no longer my truth. My truth is that I have a better understanding of how I experience emotions. It's real when I feel these emotions that don't feel like me, because often they're not. And that I get to choose how I move forward in those situations, or how I step back out of those situations. And so it's given me this awareness that I didn't have before. So, that's something that I think can be scary for us to dive into. when we have always been told our emotions are bad or negative, or we shouldn't feel these things. We are emotional beings. And when we can accept that part of us too, as part of us, and stop shoving it away and stop suppressing it and trying to make it not a part of us, then we are able to live in a state of more freedom, of more flow, of growth, of acceptance, because we've accepted that part of who we are and not labeled it as bad or as a part that we should disconnect from. And really being able to integrate that piece of ourself, and then deciding how to move forward with that as part of our acceptance, as part of who we are. And again, this is that alchemization of what we've always been told and what we've been led to believe that these emotional energies are. And we get to turn those into things that help us move forward, that help us understand why we experience them, that help us understand this is a guidance system for us. This is a guidance system when we feel these emotions as to whether or not we're in alignment with who we are meant to be, with our soul, with our being. And that doesn't come from anyone else telling me what that is, which is what I believe for so many years of my life. So that's it. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you soon.